overpriced, disappointing, thin. These are just some of the reviews I've heard about this bottle. I'm super stoked to have it on my bar, and we're going to determine whether or not those reviews are valid. Welcome back to another episode of Neat Bourbon. My name's Tanner, and today we got a bottle review for you guys. We're going to be doing the 1924 10-year from Old Forester. Now, the cool thing about this bottle, is in 1924, during Prohibition, Old Forester was granted, one of 6 medicinal licenses to still be able to produce liquor. And in 1924 was the year that Old Forester began sourcing barrels from other distilleries. So that's what the labeling there is paying homage back to. Now, this bottle here is 10 years age dated, comes in at 100 proof. MSRP is right around 115. I think most places have it for 135. I was able to get this bottle for $139 shipped to my house. So I did look for this bottle for quite a long time. It was very fortunate to be able to find one. This is going to be a limited release. It's going to be an annual limited release, and it's part of their Whiskey Row line. So, the Whiskey Row line is highly touted as amazing values all the way across the board. The 1920, comes in at 115 proof, absolutely lights out bottle, around $60 for 55. You've got the 1910. That's, I think, around like 95 proof, and that's, their double oaked offering. That bottle is all toasted marshmallows, absolutely delicious. And then you've got this bad boy, 100 proof, 10 years age, stated, over double the price of all those. I can see why a lot of people would be upset about that price point, but again, it is a limited release. You're kind of paying for that. Old Forester does heat cycle their warehouses, and they slapped a 10-year age statement on the bottle. I'm really excited to get into this bottle here. But anyways, off to the nose. Ooh. Man. Okay. Wow. That's pretty dense. I gotta say, I did try this for the first time. I was out in the mountains in Colorado, and it was like freezing cold, drank it out of a plastic cup. And I wasn't like overly impressed by it. But again, the bottle was sitting outside in the cold. Kind of like the worst conditions you could possibly have to taste bourbon. So yeah, now the bottle, in a warm environment, or at least room temperature. So, man, that's dense. So like right away, getting a lot of a dark chocolatey oak profile, which is awesome. Like really glad you can smell the oak on that. It is 10 years old, but sometimes the oak can go unnoticed. Man, a lot of that Brown Forman vanilla notes there. And it's almost like it's got a little bit of backbone of some fruit in there too, which is really sweet. That is it keeps coming out more and more now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, that blackberry note isn't something that I normally get on an Old Forester product. Kind of like a hair of it one time in a one of their Old Forester single barrel proofs. And again, single barrel proofs. Those are $80 cash strength. Granted, they're only around 5 years old, but still, this is twice the age, 100 proof. I get those concerns, but let's see how the palate lives up. Cheers. Oh, man. Dang. I like that. Hold on. Let's go in. Yeah, so you're definitely getting a little bit of that oak punch. You can feel it right there on the tongue. And then it really goes over into a real dark chocolatey finish there. And it's a hint drying. Just a hint. But it is there, and I think that's coming from the oak, but it's not astringent. All in the palate. You're getting actually a decent amount of that blackberry notes there in the mid palate. I know I'm kind of going from back to front here, but you are hit with a decent amount of a muddled blackberry there. Man, that's sweet. That is sweet. Yeah, a lot of like vanilla caramel, like straight, it goes vanilla caramel into the blackberries, and you're getting like a lot of, that dark chocolate there in the finish. It's relatively mouth coating, like to me, I think this is great. I think for 100 proof, I think it's really delivering a very elevated, flavor profile, and it's really robust too on the palate. Oh. Man. Yeah. I can get a little bit of like a bitterness there, but it's not bad. It's not off-putting, but like it is like slightly bitter there. Now, like one thing I will say, like on the 1920 and like sometimes on the Old Forester single barrel proofs, but specifically like the 1920, I get this like metallic-y note that is it's a little off-putting to me, and like that profile is not found. So I think like during the aging process, they were able to. A note found its way out of this bottle. So like if you're like me and you do get that little like funky like metallic-y like note there, it's like a vanilla, like a metallic vanilla, like a metally vanilla note. That's kind of it's the only thing about that 1920 that like is doesn't keep me from drinking it every day is that note. But yeah, it's definitely not found in this bottle. The finish on this is pretty good. Like I'm still getting like a decent Kentucky hug. Now this was, at first pour bourbon of the day, but I gotta say like for 100 proof, like the price point aside, for 100 proof, I think it does deliver like on a strong nose. It's got a relatively robust nose, and I think the palate is relatively explosive too. So like for me, I think this is like a great bottle. And like when you're talking about value on this, for like in that like $120 price point, like I would buy this bottle again. Like most certainly wouldn't be reaching too far above that, but I would definitely be buying this bottle. And for in terms of like the value comparison, like yes, for like $60, like that 1920 is fantastic, and 55 that 1910, like you just can't beat it. And I think the fact that this is part of the Whiskey Row series, like if people are a little bit of like upset because that is just like killer values all the way across the board. Then you've got this age-stated bottle that's coming in that's over twice the price, which and it's a lower proof than the 1920. There are just so many amazing offerings coming out of Old Forester, and this one just it is priced a good bit above all the other offerings. But like I still think that like the juice inside this bottle is really good. And if you were like change this label to like a President's Choice or like or if it was like, the 117 series out of the distillery, I don't think anyone would be batting an eye, and I think they would be so ecstatic to have that bottle on their bar at that like $130 price point. But I think because like it's a part of the Whiskey Row series, and that's just like a very big, like that whole line is just value bottles, like value hitters. This one does kind of seem out of place there. But like the juice inside the bottle is really good. I'm really happy with it. And if I can find another one around that like $130 price point, I would buy another one. So, again, definitely wouldn't go above that though. Like I think this bottle is kind of priced at with secondary already in it. So it's definitely not worth $200. But if you can get it for right at MSRP, I think it's a buy. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you had, would you please consider subscribing? Would you please give me a like? And as always, this is Neat Bourbon. My name's Tanner. And pop the bottles and share the pours, and we'll see you in the next one.